Francois, if you can just introduce yourself for our viewers and then also give us an overview on this ground-based air defense system.
Absolutely. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present the system. So I'm an as you said, ex-Rafale pilot from the French Air Force. I've been in the Air Force for 26 years. I've logged more than 3,000 flight hours on any type of Mirage, so Mirage F1, Mirage 1000, and fortunately Rafale. And I joined the MBDA company roughly 12 years ago. And surprisingly, I've been involved in the GBAD, so ground-based air defense systems, in order to give the point of view of an ex-target. So MBDA is covering the full scope of GBAD system, from the contour UAV, very short range, long range systems. Here you see roughly the different samples of the different systems. And I will focus on the last system we are working on. You see, of course, you with the context of Ukraine and last conflicts, the impact on drones of any kind was expected formerly, but not at the scale and the pace that we face today. So everybody, all the companies are working on a system dedicated to deal with that threat. So everybody has in mind that it's an easy task because the target, the drones are cheap. So for anyone, it makes sense that it should be easy to destroy or to neutralize that kind of threat. Surprisingly, it's absolutely the opposite, because the scope of threat is very small, so very slow. So it's exactly very difficult for sensor, because you have a very low radar cross-section, or very low radar signature, if you prefer, very low infrared signature. So these targets are very difficult to detect and demands very specific sensors that we need to add to our classical systems. So the problem as well is you can meet them in a different context. Sometimes it can be in a peacetime condition, for instance, to protect some special events, the World Football Cup in Qatar 2 years ago. Soon it will be the Olympic Games in Paris this year. So during those contexts, you have to meet very stringent rules of engagement, a lot of constraints. You cannot harm any civilians in the area, and that's why it's very difficult to neutralize that kind of threat. And that drives the kind of solution that you meet almost everywhere. First, you need a panel of sensors. You need a specific architecture of the system, which is multi-sensor. At the minimum, you need a very specific radar, because that will give you the longer range for the detection. You need a passive sensor capable to detect the remote control of the drones, assuming they are using one. But this remote control enables to detect the bearing, the direction of the threat incoming, as well as, if you analyze the transmission, you can check with the library and have an idea of identification. So that kind of system is quite useful, both for capable to have an idea of threat exists, secondly, to identify it, and thirdly, to frame the frequency of the remote control in order to trigger the jamming action on the best frequency band. Okay, so you need that kind of sensor, and the last one, the third one that you need is it's very difficult to perform the identification. So we need appropriate camera with the appropriate zooming effect in order to perform the visual identification. So this triptych of sensor is absolutely mandatory. MBDA is B-side maker, not sensor maker. So we have the opportunity to test sensors from very different branches. We have a lot of partners. It can be Saab, it can be Thales or Ensort, or a lot of things like this. So we test the sensors we have, and it's the trials that drove the solution. We picked up the best sensor we could have, and we focused on the performance on field. And the next step was to fuse those information, because they are of different nature. The radar will provide a 3-dimension detection, so direction, range, altitude. The passive sensor will provide mostly a sector, and the camera will need to focus on the direction. So the camera will be at last to provide the identification, visual identification. So you need to fuse this in a C2 in order to give to the operator that will use the effectors that you see there, to give him a clear situation. We call it tactical situation or tactical picture, in order to know, because you will have probably in the area your drones. So in a situation like I was mentioning, for instance, a special event, you will have probably police drones, TV drones, fire brigade drones, and those drones are on your side. So you need to discriminate them and take them apart from the threat itself. And if we speak of a more military context, like maybe in these countries that there is a conflict today, everybody is embedded, and the battlefield is overwhelmed by any kind of drone. It can be yours as well, but you will have very nasty drones in the same thing. So to fuse those information is really a paramount task, to give the operator a clean situation and to help him to select which effector is the best suited to address the threat at the common moment. Okay, so it's gradually we have several answers to the situation. It starts with a jammer. So the jammer cut the link with the drone with a remote control. The same jammer is capable to jam navigation system. Most of the drones are using GPS, so you can jam the GPS. If you jam the GPS, the drone doesn't know where it is, so it stops or long sometimes. If it's not sufficient because you can find drones that are autonomous, jammer will not do anything. You switch to something else. So the next solution is this guy. We call it the hit to kill. It's a drone, a kamikaze drone that will hit the threat. It's a high-speed drone capable to pull up to 9 Gs. I would say it's a kind of infrared missile using propeller. And so there is no warhead, and you kill the target just by hit. Okay? So there is no collateral damage issue, and this is something that you can use in a civilian or urban context. If it's not sufficient, we also use drone catcher, not made by MBDA. This one is made by MBDA. Drone catcher from other company. It's a bigger drone, 6 propeller, using nets that you can project and that you trap the drone. The good point is, for instance, you can catch it up and bring back to you in order to analyze transmission or try to find who is the pilot. Okay? And progressing, you can use the laser. So the laser will be able to burn or destroy a drone up to more than 1 kilometer. And so it addresses target like loitering munitions, like this on a battlefield situation. And the next step is for bigger drones and classical targets. We have the Mistral missile, which is a V-Shoran missile. So it's an infrared seeker, and the missile has a range up to 8 kilometers of intercept range. It is using, in terms of technology, a very up-to-date infrared seeker using a matrix. So it's an imaging infrared seeker. With that technology, you can address a very low infrared signature, so drones, even electric drones. So you can have a lock. On the other hand, with this image, you can make proper image treatment in order to split the real image of the target from context and flares, for instance. So any target using very modern flares. Usually flares are relying on the effect of kinematic, and they try to mask the signature of the target. And as soon as you have a better seeker, more secured against the effect of the drone, the flares are more effective and smarter in order to defeat the way to split the target from the flare. So with this image, we can work much more better than the other seekers that were using another type of technology, simpler. And it relies not only on the kinematic of the flare from the target, but it's using other treatments that are capable to recognize the shape of the target and the shape of the drone, of the flare, and then it's very, very difficult to escape from such a missile. So this is a missile that we have sold in many versions, because we kept the name, but the story started in 1990, and we sold more than 18,000 missiles for many applications, for land. They can be carried by helicopter, so in air to air. They are used by navies, so very versatile missile. And this is, I would say, the system that covers from I would say 0 to 8 kilometers, classical targets, and the new ones, the drones that are, I would say, the starting points and this is really the purpose of the system is to cover everything. And not only like other companies are doing, it's just to focus on drone in a civilian aspect.
Francois, thank you for that very detailed overview on the Warden system. Would I be correct in understanding it's a combination of a counter UAS system and an air defense system?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because in our point of view, counter UAV is the same job as GBAD. And actually it's a GBAD job where you expand the scope of target. So it's, I would say, business as usual, except that to deal with that spectrum of threat, you need to add specific components, specific effectors, specific sensors, because they are quite demanding, and with classical sensor you cannot deal with that. But for an operator, the job is the same. You have to detect, identify, neutralize. Here, just you have a wider spectrum of solutions on for both tasks.
Francois, thank you for that confirmation.